Hey, vinyl community, Jeff here. Time to jump on a contest. Yes, it is. Saw this one going around. It's just been a couple days now in the making. Seen some other people jump on it. I've been pondering doing that, and so I decided to go ahead and do this today. So let's get into it. He wants to keep these videos short. He's celebrating 5 years in the VC. He is basing on 5 prompts, all based on the number 5 in one way, shape, or fashion. So let's get into this. First one is a band that is still active but hasn't released an album in 5 years or more. So I'm going with Kiss. This album came out with 2011, 12, somewhere around there. Quite a bit more than 5 years. But Jeff, Kiss did the final show in like 2023, didn't they? Yeah, they did. But they're now currently in Vegas doing more shows. So Kiss is still active even though they're supposed to be retired. Don't know for how long. I didn't look into that. But yeah, Kiss is currently still active, at least in these recent months. Then he wants to show the 5th album in a band's discography. So I kind of wanted to go with something. I know, Americana Sam's music is a little more on the lighter side compared to what I tend to be. So I'm going with a little bit of lighter side. A band that I think he would probably like if he listened to them. They're a little more probably obscure for someone in the mainstream like him, but the 77s, one of my favorite bands. They started out kind of poppy punkish, kind of whatever, and then they moved into kind of a 90s feel. This is where this is. This album is a little more. They're hard to describe. They change quite a bit, but I love everything they do. One of my favorite bands. Great album. It has just called the 77s, though technically the band wanted to call it Pray Naked. You can see these naked guys on the front, and the song is called Pray Naked, but the label said no, and so it's just called the 77s. But yeah, I think he would like this style of music. It's great stuff. Then he wants to see the 5th album in our collection. Now, as he described, he has multiple collection sections, as do I. I've got soundtracks and jazz on one channel. I got hard rock on a whole nother cabinet. On this other cabinet in the other room, I got pop. And then here I've got, hard music, everything from hard rock to metal. So I decided to go with something a little more in his line. And I went with just some rock or classic rock type thing. And the 5th one is Carrie Livgren. And the reason that Carrie Livgren with L is in here is because this is Carrie Livgren's first solo album. And then the 2nd album he did, and he's from Kansas. And so the 2nd album and every album that followed after that was Carrie Livgren's AD. And so I put this with AD because it really fits in. It, to me, is like the first AD album, even though it is a Carrie Livgren solo album that he worked on while still in Kansas. It's got guest stars on here. Ronnie James Dio is on here. Mylon Lefevre. Some other people that were, in the mainstream at the time that were in that world. It's a great album. It's all over the place as far as musical styles. Got all kinds of cool stuff. And then, of course, like I said, the 2nd album was Carrie Livgren's AD, and then it went on to just be AD. So that's the 5th album because I put it with the ADs. Next question, 4th question is, I Can't Drive 55. Get it, 55. I Can't Drive 55. I showed this because I had it on my wall, but I have yet to ever show it. It's a single. I found it in the local record store, and I thought, cute. It's a promotional type single, not for sale. It's on red vinyl. Came out back in the day. Just has a song on there twice. Anyway, the song is, the title of this one is Songs, Bands, and Albums You Like to Hear in the Car. And that, I could go on any kind of a line with that. Decided to stick with Sammy Hagar based. And I recall Chicken Foot being, there's a song in here called Bigfoot, which is, I got my Bigfoot on the floor. Everything Sammy does to me is party songs. It's roll the windows down and blast it type fun. Chicken Foot's one of the more recent party albums I remember listening to, though pretty much all of his stuff fits into that category. So love it all, and that's just one that I kind of resonated to because of the 55 single. And then an album that you paid under $5 for. I get a lot of these. I buy a lot of stuff in thrift stores. I buy a lot of stuff in markout bins and stuff. And I went back and looked, and these were a couple recent ones I showed them. There are a couple recent ones I got. Austin Roberts, Rocky. I remember hearing, we picked up at a thrift store one of those like K-Tel albums, And that song Rocky was on it. And I had forgotten about that song. Loved it as a kid. Makes me cry. Still makes me cry. And then I found the album in the thrift store at some point months later. Still got the shrink on it, but you know, it's open. And I bought it. And then literally a couple months later, I picked up another Austin Roberts. So this is a bonus track for you. Another one. And again, it was like in the dollar bin. It was a Ghost Amp promo. So, you know, I just, from having nothing to having 2 records within a couple months of each other was just kind of cool. But again, I have so many albums that I buy for under that price that I could have showed anything. But those kind of stuck out because that song Rocky just really touched me. And when I found the album, I'm like, this is cool. Plus, apparently, he was born and raised on the other side of the water where I was born and raised about 30 minutes from here. And that's where he's originally from, though way before my time in the 50s. And then he went out and became a big music star. That's it for this one, though. Check out a link below. Jump on the contest for Sam. And I'll see you later. Rock on and rock hard.